hand over your eyes. I open my eyes to see the spiritual truth today. And over your ears, I open my ears to hear the spiritual truth today. And if you just put your hand over your heart and extend out your arms, I open my heart to receive the spiritual truth today. The spiritual truth that I'm working with is that you can rise again and again and again and again. There is no limit to the times that you can resurrect yourself, that you can rise up. That's the good news. That's the good news. The other good news that feels like hell is that something has to die before you can truly resurrect again. Something has to truly be gone before you can resurrect again. See, I'm not talking about a physical death here. I'm talking about the death of a belief system that has you in the grips of anything less than you are the Christ presence. If you have any belief that you're not enough, that you went something through so horrible that you can't rise again, that has to die in order for you to be able to rise again. Like Jesus, who we honor this day along with the goddess Ostra. But like Jesus, who was fully aware that he had to die before he could have everlasting life. He knew that. So this morning, I'm going to ask you, is there something in your life that needs to die before you can have a resurrection in an area of your life? Only you know if it's there, but I suspect a lot of us, myself included, could benefit from a little time saying, what condition am I holding on to that is false, that needs to die? What belief system am I holding on to that needs to die before I can be resurrected? Because here's the thing. The word resurrection means life after death. It doesn't mean getting better. It doesn't mean making anything better. It means life after death. It doesn't mean remodeling the house. It means burning the house down and starting again. Some of us need to have a death of our poverty thinking in order for us to be resurrected as abundant beings. Some of us need to let go of that belief that we're afraid of people, that we've been hurt by people so many times we don't want to get close to anybody. That has to die before you can be resurrected into a person who has deep connections with one another in your life. Some of us have to die and let go of that addiction that we have in order for us to be resurrected as people who have self-respect in our lives. Some of us have to be resurrected, have to let go and have a death of that notion that we don't need any help. If there's one thing I could let go of, for everybody in this congregation, it would be that notion that you don't need any help. When we can let that die, we'll be resurrected to beings that are beyond our wildest dreams. We can't hold on to the old ways and be resurrected. Half measures avail us what? Nothing. Zip. Nothing. And so true resurrection means that we have to be fully committed after the death of something. See, Jesus was fully aware. He was fully aware that his death was imminent and that it had to happen for his divine inheritance to come to be, for his destiny to be known on the planet. So for us to benefit from Jesus' resurrection story, we also have to be aware of the crucifixion story. So I'm going to spend a few minutes this morning talking about the crucifixion story, because it's all part of the one. You can't have resurrection without death in our lives. I want to talk first about the whole notion of betrayal, because it's such an important part in our lives. See, we think we just aren't even going to make it through that betrayal that we've had. And my guess is that every single person in this room, if you're over 15, you've had some kind of a betrayal in your life. Don't raise your hands, because I already see it on your little foreheads that somebody has betrayed you in your life. But here's the thing about betrayal. You can't be betrayed by strangers. You can only be betrayed by friends and family, people that you trust. That's why it hurts so much to have a betrayal. And because it hurts so much, sometimes we don't think we can get over it. So we hold on to it. Jesus didn't hold on to his betrayal. And it was a terrible betrayal. He was kissed the very afternoon by the man who betrayed him to be crucified. When we look at the life of Jesus, we can say, yeah, I think I can get through this. I think I can do this to have the kind of resurrection in our life. See, maybe Jesus was betrayed by 30 pieces of silver. Come on. You and I have been betrayed by just that much petty stuff. You know, some of us have been betrayed in our workplaces because somebody we trusted, a coworker we trusted, wanted to be known and favored by the boss, and so they took our work product and made it theirs, and we felt a betrayal by that. Others of us have been betrayed because our best friend went after our spouse, and we felt terrible betrayal behind that. Or perhaps you were part of a family, and when a parent died and the inheritance was split up, it wasn't split up as you had hoped it would be, in an equal way as you had hoped, and you're still carrying that betrayal around. All of that stuff has to be put in its perspective as Jesus put it in that perspective. Some of us have been betrayed because somebody else didn't feel safe, and they thought they could feel safer if they betrayed us. Maybe it was our reputation. And they went out and spread stuff about us and betrayed us. Why did they do that? They were working with the very best consciousness they had. They thought they could feel better if they put us down. Isn't that what Peter did? Peter said, I'll never, ever, ever betray you. And 3 times he betrayed Jesus because he didn't feel safe. And he thought he could make himself safer. Jesus was able to see into the consciousness of all of that and move through it to his resurrection. He didn't get stuck there. He moved through it. See, the Old Testament says, what man means for evil, God always means for what? For good. So is it possible that the betrayal that we have had in our life might have been for our good? I don't mean now that there's some God in the sky who's saying, okay, Seraphine needs a betrayal today, so we're going to make sure she has a whopper. Nobody in the sky is doing that. But in the divine order of things, is it possible that the betrayal we had was simply a signpost that we were about to be resurrected if we didn't get caught up in it? If we didn't get stopped by it? If we saw it for what it is, a next step, a wake-up call? But see, betrayal wasn't the only thing that Jesus had to deal with. He also had to deal with ridicule. And you know, sociologists tell us that the reason kids get in gangs is because they want to be respected. It's a very important human need. We all have it. We want to be respected in our life. And when we're ridiculed, we feel that respect has been taken away from us. That's what the term namaste. You see some people in Eastern religions saying namaste. That simply means, I respect you. And will you respect me back? It's a very basic human need. Nobody honored Jesus. During the crucifixion, those of you who are Christians know that he was wrapped in a purple robe. He had thorns on his head, and they mocked him. They made fun. Who do you think you are? Are you the king now? Oh, look at you, big Mr. King now. But here's the thing. I don't think it bothered Jesus. I don't think it bothered Jesus one bit. It bothered those around him. It bothers me a little bit. But I don't think it ever bothered Jesus, and here's why. You can only be mocked and ridiculed and feel hurt behind that if there's some part of you that agrees with that ridicule. Jesus knew who he was. He knew he was all perfect and complete. So talk to the hand. Just keep going. I'm not hearing you. And because he was able to do that, he was able to walk toward his resurrection. The next time you feel betrayed, the next time you feel mocked and ridiculed, take a moment with it and see where it is that you might be participating in that. But mocking wasn't the real source of his pain. The real source of his pain was physical pain. And that he did feel. And that he felt so much that there was a point in the story in which he says, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" Because he just couldn't believe that he was in that much pain. You know, Jesus taught us so many things in so many different ways, but mostly by the demonstration of his life. And what he's teaching us right here by saying, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" is that when we are in pain, we don't stick our head in the sand. We don't put a pretty metaphysical bubblehead statement around it. When we are hurt, we call out. We acknowledge it. We express it. We don't stick our head in a bottle. We don't stick our head in the food. We don't stick our head in the internet. We don't stick our head in anything. We simply stop and feel what it is that we are feeling. And to call out for God is perfectly fine. It's an important part of us. Because when we do that, we can move more toward resurrection. But here is the most important thing that Jesus said, and it's the last thing he said. The very last thing he said before the resurrection happened. "Father, into your hands I commend my spirit." In other words, I surrender. I take the third step in AA. I surrender. Into your hands I command my spirit. Now, we're not talking about commanding our spirit to a sometimey God who's mad at us sometimes and happy with us other times. I'm not commanding my spirit to that kind of a God. I'm commanding my spirit to spiritual principles that are learnable, repeatable, and that will lift me up. That's what I'm doing. I'm commanding my spirit into the operating system of God. I'm commanding my spirit into a recognition that I have to swim downstream, not upstream. That's what I'm commanding my spirit into. That's what Jesus was commanding his spirit into. And when he did that, he began the resurrection. When you are willing to command your spirit into spiritual principles, you begin your resurrection, as Jesus did. Here's what happened. Like any successful kind of resurrection, any kind of success, it's daily. It takes a commitment to doing your work around it daily. When Jesus was fully resurrected, he walked among his friends, and they did not recognize him. So important for us. Don't live a resurrected life in your old vision of yourself. When you're resurrected, step out into your resurrection. You cannot live an Easter experience and live a Good Friday life. You have to live an Easter experience. So if those of you who are wanting to resurrect but you're living Good Friday lives, know that it's not going to happen. You have to move from that place. And you know, there is nothing better than somebody who is resurrected. We love being around resurrected people. We love that. People who know joy and happiness and love and abundance and connection. You know, Weight Watchers, they don't hire people who are naturally skinny. They hire resurrected people. Look at Walt Disney. You know, he was bankrupt so many different times, and people had him down, but he resurrected himself. And as a result, so many children and a few adults love life because Walt Disney was on the planet. Many of us in this room would not be alive today if Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob had not resurrected themselves. They had a resurrection, and not through attraction, not through promotion, but through attraction. We wanted what they had. We want what resurrected people who are truly resurrected, who are not living Good Friday lives. We want what those people have. The last thing I want to just touch on briefly, and that is the notion of forgiveness. It's so powerful. You cannot be a resurrected person without forgiveness. Now, people say, do I have to forgive? No, you don't. Well, I can't force myself to forgive. I just can't forgive right now. I bless that. I bless that. I pray with you. That's fine. But no, you cannot be a resurrected person until you do. Until you find the way to be able to forgive. That's why my favorite part in all of this story, in all of the resurrection story, is when he's about to call his disciples to meet him, and he says, and don't forget to tell Peter to come. See, he's telling us, the guy who betrayed me 3 times, I get it. Tell him I want him here too. He's part of the family. He's part of the team. It's a powerful part for us to be mindful of. We can't, you know, resurrected people, they travel light. They don't drag all this stuff around. Oh, my ex. Oh, my mother. No, they don't do that. They travel light. They take care of it. They don't stick their head in the sand. I love you all so much. I love you all that you came here on Easter. I want you here next Sunday, too. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to leave all these chairs up next week, okay? And I know what y'all look like, too. Okay? Let's take this message into prayer, knowing that there's only one power and glory. It's the power and glory of God that is in and around and through us right now, in and around and through every single being in this church, every single being in a synagogue, a mosque, everywhere, everywhere. In the revival tents, God is there, everywhere. I give thanks for that. I give thanks for this bright day. I release this word into the law, and together we say, and so it is.